Think of the Gita as the first psychology book in human history. It explains stress, doubt, fear, and the war between your higher self and your ego. What modern therapy explains in hundreds of pages, the Gita delivers in a few lines, direct, sharp, and transformative. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, the Yoga of Action. According to Bhagavad Gita Chapter 3, verse 25, ordinary people act with attachment to results. But a wise person should act without attachment, only to guide others on the right path. Leaders shape society. If the wise abandon their duty, ordinary people will abandon it too. This is why true leadership means working without selfish desire. Modern psychology confirms this. People naturally imitate those they admire. Neuroscientists even discovered mirror neurons in the brain, which make us copy the behavior of role models. When the wise act selflessly, society learns to rise higher. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 26, the wise should not disturb the minds of the ignorant who are attached to work. Instead, let them remain engaged, while gradually guiding them to higher understanding. Change must be gentle. Do not pull people out of their path before they are ready. Instead, inspire by action and slowly lift them. Psychology agrees. Sudden change often triggers resistance because the human brain craves stability. Step-by-step guidance rewires habits without breaking balance, just like therapy transforms behavior over time. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 27, all actions are carried out by the modes of material nature. But a person, blinded by ego, thinks I am the doer. The body and senses are only instruments, yet the ego claims ownership. In truth, nature acts, while the self remains untouched. Neuroscience reveals something similar. Our brain initiates actions even before we become conscious of them. What we call "I did this" is often the ego taking credit for processes already set in motion by the body and mind. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 28, the wise, who understand the difference between the self and material nature, do not get attached to action. They know that the gunas act upon the gunas. Detachment is born from knowledge. The body and mind perform duties, but the self remains pure. Logic supports this truth. Just as rivers flow and the earth spins without ego, the body too follows natural laws. Recognizing this frees one from stress, pride, and illusion. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 29, those deluded by the modes of nature become attached to action. The wise should not disturb them, but inspire them through example. The ignorant cling to their actions, believing that work alone defines them. The wise must not argue or criticize, but lead through example. Psychology confirms this. Children, students, and followers learn more from what they see than from what they are told. Role modeling is always stronger than preaching. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 30, dedicate all actions to me. Free yourself from desire and pride. Fight without laziness, and perform your duty as service to the divine. This is Krishna's direct command. Work not for reward or ego, but as worship. Modern science supports this wisdom. People who find deeper meaning in their work report lower stress and greater resilience. Purpose activates the brain's reward circuits, turning effort into energy and duty into joy. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 31, those who faithfully follow this teaching, without envy, are freed from the bondage of karma. Living by wisdom leads to freedom. Psychology calls this the power of habit. Consistent practice reshapes the brain, breaking destructive cycles. In this way, ancient truth meets modern science. Practice creates liberation. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 32, but those who reject this teaching, criticizing it out of ignorance, are destroyed by their own delusion. To ignore wisdom is to invite suffering. Just as ignoring medical advice brings disease, rejecting truth brings downfall. Denial does not erase reality. It only magnifies pain. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 33, even the wise act according to their nature. Living beings follow their tendencies. What will repression achieve? One cannot fight nature by brute force. Instead, nature must be uplifted through knowledge. Psychology agrees. Repression of desires creates inner conflict and often returns in unhealthy ways. True transformation refines instincts instead of suppressing them. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 34, each sense has its attraction and aversion. Do not fall under their control, for they are obstacles on the path. The senses constantly pull us toward pleasure and away from discomfort. Neuroscience shows this as the dopamine and fear circuits at work, hijacking decision-making. Freedom begins when we rise above likes and dislikes, choosing balance over impulse. According to Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, verse 35, it is better to follow one's own dharma imperfectly than to follow another's perfectly. Better to die in one's own duty than to live in another's. Dharma is personal. Each soul has its unique role. Psychology confirms that living authentically leads to fulfillment, while copying others creates identity crisis, anxiety, and depression. True success comes not from perfection, but from walking your own path with courage. According to Bhagavad Gita Chapter 3 verse 36, Arjuna then asked, "O Krishna, what is it that compels a person to act sinfully, even against his own will, as if driven by force?" This is the eternal question of humanity. Why do people do wrong, even when they know what is right? Neuroscience explains that the emotional brain often overpowers rational judgment. The limbic system pushes for desire and impulse, while the prefrontal cortex, the seat of wisdom, struggles to control it. This is the hidden enemy within that Krishna is about to reveal. In verse 37, Krishna answers Arjuna's question. It is desire, it is anger, born of the mode of passion. This is the great devourer, the great sinner, the enemy of man in this world. Here Krishna exposes the hidden enemy within, uncontrolled desire. When desire is blocked, it transforms into anger. Together, they cloud wisdom and drag a person down. Psychology confirms this truth when expectations are denied. Frustration arises, and frustration often erupts as rage. Neuroscience explains that the dopamine-driven craving system collides with the amygdala, the brain's anger center, creating inner conflict. In verse 38, Krishna gives vivid imagery. Just as fire is covered by smoke, a mirror by dust, or an embryo by the womb, knowledge is covered by desire. The truth is never destroyed, only hidden. Smoke clouds the fire, but cannot kill it. Desire clouds wisdom in the same way. Modern science shows how addictions function similarly. The brain knows the right path, yet cravings blind clarity. In verse 39, Krishna warns, knowledge is covered by this eternal enemy. Desire, which burns like fire and is never satisfied. Desire is endless, it feeds on itself. The more one tries to fulfill it, the more it grows. Logic shows this clearly. Fire only grows when given fuel. Neuroscience agrees. Dopamine spikes during craving but quickly falls after satisfaction, making us restless for more. In verse 40, Krishna declares, desire resides in the senses, the mind, and the intellect. By this, it bewilders the soul and hides real knowledge. Desire attacks on every level. The senses crave objects, the mind imagines them, and the intellect justifies them. Psychology says the same. Sensory input fuels imagination, and reasoning bends to excuse what the heart already wants. It is a complete trap. In verse 41, Krishna commands, therefore, O Arjuna, control the senses at the very beginning. Destroy this enemy which ruins knowledge and wisdom. The lesson is clear. Stop desire before it grows strong. Neuroscience supports this. Habits are easiest to change in the early stage. Each repetition strengthens neural pathways, so cutting desire early prevents deeper bondage. In verse 42, Krishna reveals the hierarchy of control. The senses are strong, but higher than the senses is the mind. Higher than the mind is the intellect, and higher still is the self. This is the map of mastery. The senses are servants, the mind is their manager, the intellect is the commander, and above all stands the self. Logic proves it. Only when the general is awake will the army obey. Neuroscience mirrors this truth. The higher brain, when trained, can overrule impulses of the lower brain. And in verse 43, Krishna concludes, thus, knowing the self is beyond intellect. Control the lower self by the higher self. Conquer this enemy, the destroyer of knowledge and realization. This is the closing call of Karma Yoga. The real war is not only on the battlefield, but within. The senses must be ruled by the self, or desire will rule them. Psychology calls this self-mastery. Neuroscience calls it strengthening discipline and awareness. But Krishna calls it victory of the soul.